Hey guys, it's Mrs. Kuhn, B Group. I wanted to just take a few minutes today to go over the graphic novel structure, because today in class, after you watch this screencast, you are going to be listening to and following along in your book for New Kid for chapters 1 and 2. So for those of you who have never read a graphic novel before, this is just a little introduction to it. If you'd read one before, that's great, but this will just take a couple minutes and you'll be on your way. So, how to read a graphic novel. It's just like when we read a regular chapter book, we're reading left to right and top to bottom. All right, left to right, top to bottom. What you see here on the screen, though, is numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. Those aren't in our graphic novel. All right, we showed that we put them in here today so that you're kind of able to follow along. But order does matter when you read your graphic novel. You need to go in the right order, or everything's not going to make sense. All right, so you do have to follow along. Make sure, again, we're reading left to right and top to bottom. So here are some just different things that are in our graphic novel. We call them our graphic novel features. So the first thing we want to talk about are panels, okay? And these are panels right here. All right, these panels are the distinct segment of the comic containing a combination of images and text. So some might just be images, some might be images and text. The next thing are frames. So you'll see this over here, frames. And a frame is down here below. We're showing, if you look here at the arrow, okay? And a frame, these are the lines and borders that contain the panels. So if you see here down on the bottom where I'm circling, that frame has 3 separate panels, okay? The next thing is the gutters. That is this white space that's in between the panels and in between the frames. It breaks it up. Then we have things like captions. These are boxes containing text elements, all right, such as scene, setting, and description. So if you see right here, this might be a caption. Then we have what's called a speech bubble. You guys have seen these before. This is where the enclosed dialogue, or that conversation that the character is having, and it comes specifically from a speaker's mouth. All right, these can vary in size, shape, and layout. But if you look right here where I'm circling, you kind of see there's that little hook coming down towards her mouth. That's a speech bubble. That's when the character is talking. Now, there are also thought bubbles, all right? And we don't have any thought bubbles on here, but think of the thought bubbles. Those are the ones you see where it's like a balloon, and there's kind of that like dot, dot, dot leading up to the balloon bubble, all right? That is a thought bubble. So that's telling us what the character is thinking. They're not saying it, they're thinking it. And then our last one here is onomatopoeia. And if any of you guys remember last year from our poetry unit, onomatopoeia is one of our poetry terms. And that's just saying that these are the written sound effects that often depict in a graphic novel. So if you look over here, it says rattle, okay? Or think about when you'll see those things that say like boom, crash, slam. Those are onomatopoeias. All right. We are going to talk a little bit about mood and theme and tone and plot and characterization and all of those things as we start to read. But something just to kind of just start thinking about as we read is to monitor our mood. How are we made to feel as readers, or the emotion that is evoked by the author? So we said, if we were to read a description of the first word of a first date that included words and phrases like dreaded and my friends forced me to go on a date, we would assume that that individual didn't really enjoy it. Okay, so we have to think about those descriptive words because they kind of put that mood in place in the story. So you'll see here a list of positive mood words, negative mood words. I shared with the class yesterday, sometimes it's based on our experiences on maybe how this book and our mood. It might be for, Jaden might have one mood based on a situation he's reading in the book because of personal experiences, or Linnell and Sunny could have a different mood based on their personal experiences. But we will go on and talk a little bit more about mood next week. Just so you know, when you're looking in your book and you're monitoring the mood, picture lines, shapes, they can help create mood, as you see here on the left-hand side. And then things like the text and the captions, the speech balloons, the thought bubbles, they can also help create the mood because you can see what the characters, how the characters are feeling, maybe based on what they're saying or what you're seeing in the pictures. Here's an example where we're looking at, and this is actually in the book that we're reading in New Kid. You can look at these frames on page 13 and you can tell what mood they make you feel and why, just based on the characters and maybe some of the words that are being said or what the pictures depict. You guys will actually be doing this question as one of your comprehension questions after you listen to chapter 1. Characterization, we're going to talk about that next week, so I'll move past that. Character traits, we're going to talk again about that next week. Just some things to be thinking about. Okay? And plot we'll be talking about next week. So what you guys are going to do today, here in a minute, is you are going to get on and you are going to listen to and follow along with chapter 1 and then chapter 2 of New Kid. I want you to get your books from the bin. I want you to follow along and listen to the audio, the YouTube videos that are on Google Classroom. You are going to answer 2 comprehension questions per chapter after you're done. So after you listen to chapter 1, go into Google Classroom and answer the 2 questions. And then once you listen to chapter 2, go into Google Classroom and answer the questions. Both questions are on the same assignment, so you need to make sure that you answer both questions because you cannot, when it's in question form on Google Classroom, you cannot go back and resubmit it or edit it. Once it's submitted, it is submitted. Once you are all done with your New Kid, with your chapter 1, chapter 2, and the comprehension questions, then you'll be working on your 10% summary. As a friendly reminder, that is due by Tuesday at the start of class, so please make sure that you take home your papers with you because I don't want to hear that you left them here at school. They need to make sure they go home over the weekend, that you have to finish that on Monday. Mrs. Passmore will let you know what else you need to do, and you can ask her for any help. And I will see you guys in school on Tuesday.